Hello everybody, this is Seekaroma Gaming with my second episode of my StarSector Let's Play for new players. In this episode we're going to try and cover a few more basic topics which maybe the game doesn't explain to you unless you see them. But for the moment we are just going to be dealing with the aftermath of our previous fight, in which we managed to acquire ourselves a new ship, which by this point in the game you probably will have acquired something. You might have picked something up from a tutorial, or maybe you like the look of a starship. As always, I recommend to always get ships which have some sort of shielding, because the ships that don't tend to get chewed out pretty quickly. In this case, I picked up a combat freighter just because it has the advantage of some extra cargo capacity. But in this case, as you can also see, I have crew under strength. I need to get a bit more crewmen, or else I'm not going to be fighting very effectively. At the same time, I also need to address something else, which is that in my fleet build, I'm using specifically designed overdriven frigates. And this same concept can apply to any ship, really, with the overdrive safety overrides. But the thing is, early game, this concept is great to use for overwhelming an enemy very quickly. But if you look at the description, it says one important thing. It says reduces the peak performance time by a factor of 3. Now, what is peak performance time? Well, if you look at the description here on the left side, you'll see peak performance in seconds. And this is the effective time that your ships can fight in combat at their maximum stats. Once this goes down, the ships start to slow down, they start to encounter malfunctions, and once they get to almost below 10% combat deployment, they will just stop moving in some cases. I've had ships just completely immobilize on the battlefield due to this. So early game with this build, it's completely fine because you're fighting smaller groups of enemies that you can overwhelm quickly. But later on, when you have bigger fights against larger groups of enemies that need a bit more time to kill, safety overrides is probably only going to be needed for a couple of your ships, because the last thing you want is your ships to just start drifting around as the enemy is still fighting on completely fine. A bit of a, the tortoise and the hare scenario, except in this case with laser guns. So what I want to do is switch out these overdriven frigate designs to regular designs, which will also give them some point defense against missiles, especially now that we've got a bigger, chunkier combat ship in the fleet. Also, one important thing to note with this is that the peak performance affects the combat readiness, which goes down a lot quicker with this build, which means you use more supplies for each ship. So if you did an entire fleet with this kind of build, you would be burning through your supplies very quickly on each fight. This is also the same reason why you might want to invest in getting some improvements to your combat readiness, such as the fleet logistics level 3, which will mean your ships can fight longer. And I believe, I can't remember what the other one was, if there isn't one that directly affects the... Oh yeah, this one, the combat endurance, that's it. This is good for specialist officers commanding an individual ship that you want to stay in combat for longer and to fight the most effectively. In this case, that's what I'm going to do for my ship. I'm going to want to level up his combat and try to get combat endurance as high as I possibly can, so that the ships I individually pilot will be still able to be overdriven to quite a good extent. Okay, so now we've got that little bit of blurb out the way. Let's go back to Jangala and grab some more crewmen. So as we're drifting along, we can use sustained burn, get there a bit quicker. Fortunately, crewmen aren't that expensive. One thing you might also notice is my supply usage has increased. And if you click F and you go to your fleet, you'll see the total supplies that it's going to use to complete these repairs. So I can estimate to have about half my supplies when I get to the planet and use the planetary repairs. Okay, so you see if I use repair your ships at the dockyard, it'll use 16. So now I have a total of 26, about half of my supplies. It's always a good idea to predict ahead how much supplies and fuel you'll be using. Fuel is a bit of a different one because you can't go in straight lines when traveling, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, I'm going to offload my metals to the black market, just to avoid that tariff. And now let's grab some more crew, so hold shift. And let's say 30 crew should do. So now I have 90 out of 72. I could go for a bit more maybe. Maybe that'll allow me to recover another starship. And also let's grab a couple of supplies. Okay, so now we've got the supplies and the people. What is this weapon we have? Mining laser. That's pretty redundant. Okay, so we need to refit our combat freighter. So we have, what are the issues with it? It has increased maintenance. This is the same as an overdrive except without the benefits, so this is not particularly helpful. Fortunately the ship can last for a fair amount of time. It's just down about 1 minute of full total combat effectiveness. And flux, which is again the most important factor, but your starting ships will have damage mods. Don't worry too much about them. Just try not to pick up any ships with like 6, anything like that. Okay, so we'll go through auto fit and we'll see what standard spits out for us. Gives us a mining laser with machine guns. Let's see what the black market will allow us to do. And there we go, it gives a bit more guns this time. I prefer that, let's confirm. So he has some auto cannons and some point defense guns as well. He's not going to be the best combat ship, but he's got a lot of shielding and a lot of armor, which means that this is a sort of like a meat shield ship in the event of combat. Okay, so next up we see we have my ship, which I want to be overdriven. My officer does not have anything to affect overdrive status, so I want to revert her, maybe to go back to an assault build. The ship will be a lot slower, but in this case it will last a lot longer on the battlefield, whereas I'm going to be needing as much help as I can get. Likewise, I can see if the overdrive build recommends any advancements. In this case, it's recommending 2 new missile launchers. I will happily take these. And same with the interceptor, we can give him a nice rounded amount of swarm missiles, which are slow moving, but particularly effective when an enemy has no shields left. Okay. Can repair the ships. We'll offload this extra junk. So now, do a quick save. If you're playing Iron Man, obviously we'll not be doing any of that. So we want to see where can we make some money. So in this case, we are still in Corvus. Corvus still has a bounty on pirates. There's a couple of bounties flying around, but for now we can continue to harass the pirates. Maybe we can get ourselves attacking a pirate trade convoy. That would be particularly effective for us, I believe. Ah yes, one last thing I need to check. If I go to my fleet, I can check my officer. She has some level ups, so let's give her, let's see, we've got target analysis, damage control, damage control is quite nice. That 25% free hull will save us some supplies. Oh, and then we get a choice here between Strike Commander, which it emphasizes fighters, and impact mitigation. In this case, I want to emphasize her just for combat ships. Later on, you'll want to then recruit a officer specifically for carriers. I'm not interested in getting a carrier just yet, so we'll go impact mitigation. And in this case, damage control free, because that whole damage taken is a very nice lifesaver, especially the overload. Okay, let's keep going. So, anybody out here? Oop, there's somebody. Turn off my transponder. He's got 3 ships, and he is definitely a pirate. And he's running. He knows I'm coming for him. And he's just used his emergency boost. You can see his maximum burn is 12 compared to mine at 10. I will want to catch up to him by using my emergency burn. Early game, this is just a quick way of catching up to an enemy. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time, because specifically your emergency burn will burn your combat readiness. If you see here, my ships are all 65%, same for his. That combat readiness will impact your supplies used, which will impact the amount of money that you have. But ultimately, catching the enemy is a nice way to make the money. If you don't catch them, it doesn't matter. Okay, so he has a junker frigate which has 1 gun, a shuttle, and a combat freighter. In this case, these ships don't even have shields, and this fighter is disposable. This will be a very easy fight. We don't even need to deploy the combat freighter for this, I think. And again, we can click our ship, set him to autopilot. Now, what I want to do is emphasize the destruction of the 2 big ships, whilst the kite keeps the other kite busy. Oh, in that case, that ship actually had a shield. But it didn't really matter much. Probably a makeshift shield. I don't even know what happened to that one. Okay. Pick through the wreckage. We can take everything. What was the weapon? A light autocannon. Okay. So we got another level up. What can we do with that? Let's go for combat readiness again. Need 2 more points to max this out. We also got a little bit of bounty. This will be our initial starting income. One thing you might notice is this planet is glowing purple. This is a special factor that some planets have, but if you notice I move into the purple, it's a magnetic field. This doesn't do anything to me except make me much harder to detect. So I can sit here in this magnetic field and completely see out of it as normal. Oh. You do want to avoid these spots though, which are these colored spots, the magnetic storms, because this will reduce your effective scanning as well. However, as you can see, it makes you completely invisible pretty much. So if you're getting chased by a heavy fleet, look for one of these colored spots around the planet and you should be fine. In this case, I want to be able to see out, so I will hide here. Where are all the pirates? Oh, did somebody appear? There we go, he came out of the pirate base. Let's give him a friendly hello. Oh, he's running away from me. Let me catch up to you. Hello, neighbor. Frigate enough. Shuttle. Eh. So what I want to emphasize that. So in this case, I want your ships will intelligently pair up against an enemy. They'll try to get behind an enemy. They'll try to get to their weak spots. So trying to go for a kite is a bit of a faster target. So I want to have all 3 ships surrounding that one. Whereas the Wolf frigate is a bit slower. So let's pair up our frigates against his. I don't think it will particularly matter too much. These ships are pretty crap, but it should be okay. One important thing you might have just noticed then is the difference between the overdrive and the assault variants. You saw the assault ship was shooting down lasers, whereas my overdrive ship just has to dodge them. If you use a fleet of ships without any point defense, you're going to have a very rough time later on. See here? He just has to get out the way. But you can see the definite speed difference between an overdrive and a standard ship. Cordia. And he's gone. Let's get these guys to come join against the shuttle. A shuttle on shuttle will be a very slow and boring fight. Shuttles primarily are good as a distraction. Don't expect them to blow up anything really on their own. However, a officer-commanded shuttle can be a very annoying little needle against an enemy. But then again, you could say the same about any ship with an officer in command, really. Yep, you see as they try to get around him, it's a bit like a wolf pack. Literally the name of the frigates. They are all surrounding him. And it's gone. Couple bit more bounty. I am okay with that. We even took a rocket launcher. Got one more character point. In this case, once more into combat. After I've maximized combat endurance, I'm going to focus more on technology and industry because I want to focus on loadout design and potentially safety procedures and salvaging. Now, salvaging is not directly useful at the beginning, but this is going to be useful when I start exploring into the outer systems because you're going to run out of supplies and fuel and you're going to need salvage from those ships. Right now I'm currently staying in a nice safe place near home. Burning through my supplies whilst making a little bit of money. Not as much as I'm normally used to though. So in this case we're going to call this. Let's head home. Save. Now before we head home, I want to make a decision as to what my next move will be. So the pirates here, the bounty lasts for about a month, but I don't know where all the pirates are. The bounty is actually quite high, but finding them is the tricky part. Now there are a couple of other bounties for individuals over here. It's actually not that far to get to Hera. Her name is Moon Phobos, and she estimates that she has a combat frigate, combat freighter shuttle. I maybe want to have one more ship, and I could try hunting her down. This one, on the other hand, yeah, I'm going to avoid him. This is his basic fleet. There are 5 other ships. He has a Mora-class strike carrier, as well as multiple carriers. I'm not going to touch that. Oh, pursuing my fleet. Oh no, I forgot to turn my transponder on. So, as you can see, they are very unhappy with me. Fortunately, I have no illegal cargo. Transponders are something that I forget about sometimes, especially when hunting pirates. Keeping your transponder on in a civilized system you probably should do, but it has the disadvantage of making your detection radius massively increased. As you can see here, it adds 1000 to your transponder, which it means you'll be detectable from probably within a whole solar system. Okay. Offload all the junk. Let's Let's grab some supplies. Probably making just barely break even on what our missions were. Okay. So now, if I want to hunt that pirate, I probably want to grab another ship. And see if there's any good deals on the black market. We could grab a kite. There's another distraction, perhaps. There's the Mercury. He has 3 universal. This has 1 ballistic and 2 missiles. Mercury is a high-tech version. But this one has a civilian-grade hull. This one has militarized systems. Is there any such system here? Okay. Okay, so I think I probably want to have a little harassing ship. Even though this is more expensive, this has militarized subsystems, which saves me a bit on the loadout build. I'll grab a converted kite. Give him a quick refit. Interceptor. Alternatively... No, if you see these are designed for civilian-grade hulls, the Interceptor actually has the most combat advantage. It's making use, though, of a couple of hull mods which we don't actually have unlocked yet. But still, it's a good distraction ship. I'm perfectly fine to have one of those. So, the pirates are located here at Hera. Doesn't look that far, right? Well, there's a little function to the map that might be very helpful to see, which is here, number 1 for Starscape. This lets you see all of the horrible plasma clouds that will damage you. And if you look at the map, you can see it forms sort of corridors that you can travel along. Some areas are of course locked off, like if you wanted to get here, you probably would have to travel through storms at some point. But you could see through this that if you wanted to get to maybe around here, it might be easier to just go down this corridor and stick like that. The traditional map, if I just applied like this with fuel range, you would just see this as a direct return. Actually, that's a good point. According to my fuel range, I could not return. This inner circle is the return range, the outer circle is the complete distance without a return. So, let's see. I could do with grabbing some more fuel. Fortunately, fuel is pretty cheap. Actually, let's just fill up our entire hull by clicking Control and confirm. This is also one of the skills I want to emphasize later, is the recovery operations. Once you're fighting away from the core systems, you really, really do need to get level 3 for this. It's one of the real effective ways to make sure you can keep flying around in space. Okay, let's head off to Hera. Maybe we'll find a pirate on the way. No such luck. One unfortunate thing about flying away from the core worlds, however, is you don't have to keep your transponder on. Ah, some of that sweet monthly income. So, if you want to know what this is about, you can go to Command, you can click your income. Here you can see everything. So we get a little starting bonus for playing the game, which is 15,000 a month for 36 months. So if you ever get close to bankruptcy, don't worry too much. You will get a little bit more money. So now we're in space. What are we looking at here? You've got these big clouds. You want to avoid these, right? Well, not necessarily. Some clouds are just sort of still. You could say they are inactive clouds. They will slow you down, but they won't do much more. This cloud, on the other hand, is actively glowing and storming. We don't want to fly through that one. It might not be storming when we do fly through it, but it'll maybe turn back on at any second and catapult us straight out. We don't want any of that. So it's right all the way over there. Let's resume course. Plug into our sustained burn. Do a quick save. It'll be a close fight. We'll see how it goes. But I'm fairly confident we should be okay. Oh, let's avoid that danger cloud. Oh, there's a warning beacon here. What is the warning? Potentially active autonomous weapon systems. So this system will have the remnant. However, if you mouse over, it says danger level low. So the remnant will just be a couple of ships, like maybe individual drone ships. Remnant ships are great. They have AI cores which you can sell for large amounts of money, well, at early game level anyway. And they tend to be dormant, so they won't attack you unless they think that you are intruding on some sort of recovery of a wreck or something like that. Now, there are two bounties in this system. We don't want to fight the big bad one, we want to fight the nice one. And it says here she is hiding out near a gas giant. So let's see. Unfortunately, because it's an explored system, we don't know much about it. See, if we literally mouse over it, we can't go to system map. However, I can see here that there is a gas giant and another gas giant. I just want to make sure. He's also hiding out near a gas giant. So we want to go to a gas giant that is the correct gas giant. Which one? Which one? I pick south. However, we can do this a bit more stealthily. Actually, one option might be to go straight through the jump point by going dark. Oh, there is an enemy very close to the exit. Okay, let's try Hebe. So, if we go dark, at least... Oh, there is an enemy. Let's see what he's here. Oh, there's a couple of fleets. There's one and there's another. Are they both at the same gas giant? That would be very unfortunate if that's the case. Okay, fortunately we found the easier fleet. If that was the other pirate fleet, that would have not been a fun time. Okay, I want to deploy everybody for this one. Get my ship AI again. You can see that overdrive speed bonus shooting him ahead already. So what I would like is my shuttles to deal with the shuttles. My freighter to tackle... Let's see, so I want to emphasize the destruction of their large ships first, and the freighter can keep the frigate at bay. This ship doesn't even have shields. He might kill it on the way to the other ship. Oh, this frigate is currently floating around. And here is our combat freighter. Oh, maybe that was a bad idea. It's too late to rescue him. Unfortunate. Fortunately, we have structural hull modification. Come on, you can kill him. There we go. So now we want to emphasize the destruction of that larger ship. That's piloted by a level 5 officer. So even though it's not a very dangerous ship, with those bonuses it has, it could be pretty dangerous. Fortunately, it's a very large ship. Wolves are very good at fighting large ships. The enemy shuttle is gone. Let's pair the other shuttle up to that. See, if you have no shields, your guns will get disabled pretty quickly here. Oh, was that my voice? Let's drink some coffee. Okay, you see that little thing there in the top left? Combat readiness. So my ship, is this my ship? Yes. His combat readiness has dropped to 69%. Whereas my friendly officer has 70%. This means now his peak performance time has been reached. From this point on, his combat readiness will start to dip. See, it's dropped to 68%, 67%. The more percentages it goes down, the worse the ship is going to start faring in combat. Fortunately, I think we have completely won this. In this case, you can see the enemy's combat readiness is also going down, so he's reached his peak time. To conserve your supplies, you want to try and maximize your peak performance. Oh, and he's going to run away. Okay, but we can pursue him. Yep, and we can just do quick pursuit. We lost 40 crew. That's unfortunate. This Wayfarer combat freighter did not perform as well as I was hoping. And we can just order the second in command to handle it. We'll throw the shuttles at it. No forces. Enemy escaped. Perfect. Okay, so consider ship recovery. Oh, okay. So, the question is, do I want to save this ship? And I believe that I do. Do I want to save the other ships as well? Compromised hull, unreliable subsystems. I don't want the shuttle. I think I'd rather buy some of these ships. Combat freight in particular I'm not very interested in. We'll just go with recovering back our combat freighter. Now one thing is, with the combat freighter, because it was our ship, you can see actually under the armaments it still had the same guns equipped. So when the ship is destroyed with the structural, the reinforced bulkheads, it still keeps the guns that were on the ship. Even if it does get another damage attribute applied to it, in this case, I think it was erratic fuel injector. So pick through the wreckage. You just take everything. Okay. Not enough crew to keep all ships combat ready, unfortunate. But we got a lovely chunky bounty, and we got level up. Let's grab our maximum combat readiness. There we go. So now our ship can go up to 82% combat readiness. It's currently a bit lower because it's not got enough crew, but eventually with another skill, the fleet logistics, he'll be able to have 100% combat readiness. I would ordinarily finish the video about here. It's gone a little bit too long. But I just want to see if we can grab a little bit of extra loot. Because there is something here. There's a floating Lasher class derelict ship. Ah, we can only salvage it. Okay, there's not much on it. Yep, that is definitely the pirate, and he's definitely coming for me. Okay. Run away. Let's hide in the planet. Yeah, let's stay here. So this one... Oh, he's so close. He's going back. Yeah, you stay there. Let's go take a look at this Heron class derelict. Explore. Gives us the location of a debris field in a faraway system. I do not really care. But it gives me a lot of well, junk. But I was going to say rare. I was hoping a carrier would have a little bit more stuff for it. Okay, we are very close to the inner system jump point. My next emphasis will be to head on back to the core worlds, grab another ship, perform repairs, maybe sell this ship because it costs a lot to run and it's not doing the best. What I could alternatively do is mothball him, but as you can then see, my cargo capacity and my fuel capacity are over limit. I don't want that. I'd rather have an under-strength crew than well, losing my supplies. Okay, so I hope this was another little informative video. Again, I'll continue this in the next episode when I have the time. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.